In this video, I'm going to share with you the script I use to close 30 pieces of business in my third year of real estate just from open houses. This is a open house script, and it is Dragon Slayer. The challenge with the script, though, is it doesn't matter if you just say it. It's the setup, it's the delivery, it's the environment, it's the ambiance, it's everything that gets set into motion in order to make the script work. So I'm going to share with you right here my presentation, open houses that don't suck. This is going to take me no more than 10 minutes. I will get to the meat potatoes, but I want you to understand the whole setup that goes into it. Open houses that don't suck. And first of all, why this works, why open houses should be the bread and butter of every agent's business. The only reason why you should not be doing open houses anymore is because you're using all of your Saturdays, Sundays, and weeknights to show homes to our clients, and you just already living the quality of life you want. The way to meet people who want to buy and sell homes are at events and seminars, right? For some home buyer classes, lender seminars, and one-on-one meetings. There's no better place to find a more target-rich environment than open houses. They might be working with an agent, but some of these individuals at open houses have been working with the same agent for like 9 months, and they're ready to work with a new agent. You do not get a better one-on-one conversion ratio than at open houses. So continue to do them. But it all comes down to a few things. It comes down to how you select an open house. And so I believe it should be no more than 3 turns off a busy street. One of the questions you're going to ask someone when they're at the open house is, how'd you find us today? Did you follow the signs in? You're going to find us online. And the reality why you want to know that question is you want to know if they came here to see this particular house, or if they were just driving down the road, kind of in that home buying type time frame, saw our signs and started to follow you in. If it's more than 3 turns off a busy road, they might just turn right around. When I was doing a lot of open houses, I put out between 30 and 50 open house signs. I wanted people to be known exactly how to get all the way in from wherever they were to catch their attention. I was also trying to impress the neighborhood because I was trying to show any prospective seller that might be coming up to market the kind of work I would do to get their house sold. Secondly, you want it to be at a price point you can master. What do I mean by this? Well, as a brand new agent, maybe doing a luxury listing or that you're doing an open house at might not be your best fit. I'll tell you, if you are more of a pencil mustache, you ride a fixed gear motorcycle, and you got tattoos on your skull, maybe you want to be doing downtown lofts as opposed to homes in suburban. I had a client for a while, and he was 6'4", big burly red beard, tattoos on his neck, but the sweetheart of a guy. He started doing only open houses at properties that had 2+ car garages with shops and lifts. Man, right there, he found his target rich demographic. He started selling homes like a madman. Also, age listings are great. It doesn't matter to me how many days on market the house has been. Honestly, there's always a new crop of buyers coming in every couple of weeks. And so it might be that the house is on the market for 100 days, but this client was just waiting just until they got pre-approved, and now they finally are. It's the house they've always wanted to see. Also, it might just be the clients that just hit the market. They just started looking for a home this week, and they're not actually even familiar with what days on market means yet. So if the house is professionally staged and at least professionally photographed, looking sexy, they're going to come see it regardless of the days on market. It also is a great place for you to practice your scripts. I always knew as a younger agent, it's always a little nerve-wracking to me when I was trying to convert a piece of business and there were other people in the home. I kind of wanted that one-on-one setup. And so doing a home that has more days on market might actually set you up a little bit better to be in the environment where you're just getting to speak to someone just one-on-one. Again, the pics have to look sexy, right? Because that's the whole reason they're going to come in. This is what you say. If you don't actually have your own listings to host, but you want to do an open house, well, this is the script I was calling agents with when I didn't have my own listings and saying, can I host your open house? And this is what I said. Hey, this is Andy with Mosaic Real Estate. First off, that's a great listing you've got over there. Congratulations. I was thinking it might be worth exploring whether I could help you find the right buyer by holding it open this weekend. Here's what I can promise you. I'll treat your home with absolute respect, and I'll leave it better than I found it. In reality, about 30% of the time, people would say, okay, yeah, cool. I'd love for you to do it. A lot of time, they're a little suspicious of me, especially if they didn't know me. And so that's where the second part comes in. How would you feel about me holding the open house for you? And you can pick up on their timidity. I totally understand. Well, what would need to happen for you to feel comfortable for me hosting it? Could I drive over there and meet you in person? Can I stop by your office and introduce myself? Again, you have that beautiful listing, and I think I would like to help you try to find a buyer. The reason why most agents are going to say no to you is because you're an unknown quantity. If you just go ahead and show them like, hey, I'm really here to help, more than likely they will be, amenable to it. You're going to get a third of those agents that are just complete jerks that are like, no, well, fine. I mean, just, hey, if you can't handle that rejection from a cross-sale agent, you're really not cut out for this industry. This is the environment you want to set when you're doing it. This is exactly what you want it to look like. So typically there are two types of buyers that are coming through. They've either never been to an open house, right? And they're kind of don't really know how this whole thing goes. They feel like they're walking into a stranger's home. They're kind of off put. Or then there's actually potential buyers who've walked to open houses and met horrible agents that all ask them for their business, and they're leery of you in the first place. So either group isn't really like super jacked and stoked to talk to the realtor that's in there. So I like to have music playing in the background, make sure I won't offend anyone, candles so the house smells good. Cookies are a nice touch. I did cookies 100% of the time. I always thought it was just kind of funny, and it kind of put people at ease. I carried with me a Pam spray, cookie sheet, a spatula, and I just stopped by the Safeway on the way to the open house and buy a Toll House package. The cookies, it made the house smell nice, and I always got a kick of saying, would you like a warm cookie? It was just kind of off-putting. Flush the toilet, take out the trash, make it a quick once-over, and then you greet them and get out of the way. Now, I'm going to share my greeting with you on the next page. Now, I haven't yet shared the script, but I want you to know this script is the script you should be using, but we're not ready for it yet. So the initial greeting, you walk in and this is what you say. And now I'm not just telling you this is what you should say. I'm almost like demanding this is how you have to say it. So I would say, hey, thanks for coming by. My name's Andy. I'm the real estate agent. Listen, no one actually likes the Nordstrom salesperson following them around. Trust me, I'm not going to do that to you either. Please go ahead and just tour the house. I'm here if you have any questions. I will be in the kitchen to answer to ask you a few questions that I have on the seller's behalf. That just totally set people at ease. Also, it gave them the space to kind of have their own. Well, what I was doing during that time, I was kind of analyzing them. You see, if you see one of my other videos, we want to know what people's disc profile is because I want to sell to someone the way they want to be sold to. And I really can't always make that out just because I saw them walk in the front door. But I could if I heard them engaging with one another. So going back into the kitchen, while they're kind of talking, people start off in the living room and they're already beginning to talk amongst themselves. And you can tell who the high D is, who the high C is. If they're high I, they actually just followed you in the kitchen. They're talking to you the whole time. You get to kind of know what people's disc profile is, and that set it up for me to not just give the script, but give the script in a way that they would hear it and receive it best. Now, I got to tell you, there are a few bad words, right? We might hear it said, there's no bad words. And I tell my kids that all the time. There's not actually a bad word. There's just sometimes an inappropriate time to share the word. Bad feedback. And these are the bad words. You do not want to say, are you pre-qualified? Or are you working with an agent? Do you like this house? Like, these aren't the kind of answers to the questions that you really want to know, right? And it also just kind of sets yourself up to be an antagonistic me against you relationship. I got to hope I'm catching someone on like the day where they're desperate to write up a house without an agent, where these are the type of questions that's going to work to my benefit. So you don't want to be pukersit, right? You want to learn the language of sales. And taking a beat, taking a step back, letting them kind of walk through the house gives you kind of the confidence to regroup so you can say the right thing. This is also what I did because I wanted to begin to capture business before I had the verbal face-to-face. And so I would set these up. Now think of it this way. I was a guy in my 30s and I was doing these poster boards. I had the cookies. I kept bubbles there. I always gave a kid a tube of bubbles and it had my business card and phone number on it. Got them from the dollar store. I had my actual business cards in these little packets that had candy in them, so you can see on there. And then I'll explain to you what the clipboards were for in a minute. But this is what people would do. They'd walk in and I'd see them walk over to it. It had the walkability score, the restaurants nearby, the schools in the local district. And I would walk up to them and say, oh, would you find a copy of this helpful? And they would reply, of course we would. Then I would look straight down at my phone, not at them. And I'd say, great, what's the best contact information? I'll send it over to you. And I would wait. This is how you do it. You don't say, do you want me to text this to you? You do not say, What's your email? I'll send it over. You ask them if they'd like a copy. And in their mind, they're thinking you're going to give them like a printout copy of it. Once they say yes to the verbal that, you do not make eye contact. You look at your phone and you get ready to text it to them. They, if you had little eyes in the back of your head or on the front of your forehead, and you could see the reaction, 100% of the time they're going to go, because they don't want to give you their contact information. They just met you. But it's also now kind of rude and impolite if they don't. I mean, you asked them if they wanted a copy of this. They said yes. And this is just the way I'd have it ready, and I'd send it to them. Boom. I wouldn't make a big deal. I wouldn't ask them their name. I wouldn't add them into my phone as a contact, but I knew that once they give me their number and I'd send it, put my phone back in my pocket, and I'd walk back in. So in a few minutes after I delivered the script to them, they were going to become one of two people. Someone who I already had their contact information and they were a warm lead because they were open to my script, or someone who was just not so sure who I was, and then I'd put them on my drip campaign. It's really pretty brilliant. This is now what to say to Talkie McTalkerson. Inevitably, just when you're getting ready to deliver like the script, like the big one, like the one that's going to like land the piece of business for you, the neighbor's going to walk in because you invited them to, because you went door knocking earlier, and they're going to just start talking. They're going to be talking your ear off, and you're going to want to get back to this client. And so I would hand them this clipboard, right? This clipboard right here. And on it, it would say just this. What's one interior feature you like? What's one interior feature could use some improvement? What's one exterior feature you like? What's one exterior feature that could use some improvement? And I'd ask them to write this down and give feedback. So when Talkie McTalkerson is just kind of talking to me and I want to go actually talk with this potential buyer that would walk in, I'd hand them the clipboard and say, will you fill us out, please? They love to do that. This also gives me the validity that when I did, remember I met them at the door and I said I was a Nordstrom, I wasn't like the Nordstrom salesperson, but I had a few questions I wanted to ask them so I could give the seller some feedback. This is a great way to actually get the feedback and then give it to that listing agent to be invited back to do more of their open houses. But this is also what I would hand a potential client, because if you hand them a clipboard, they're not going to walk away until they've given you these answers. So this is the key to no more verbal puking. Remember, they have to be more interested in buying the house than you are in selling it to them. So lower your tone, right? You're now conversational. This is what you do all day. You're not disinterested. You're not like bored because they're there, but they're the ones that are more excited. You're the professional. And you want to ask open-ended questions, watching their body language. What's their disc profile? Mirror and match. If they're enthusiastic and handsy, then the way you engage with them is enthusiastic and handsy. Now that you know all of this, we set the right environment. They're not nervous because they already seen you as an approachable person. They've gotten your tchotchke. I mean, they've already given you their personal information. So what's the harm now? Now they're ready for the script. They've seen the home. They walked upstairs. And this is the script. So tell me, what's your story? Period. Right? I've already given them this. They're walking into the kitchen. I give them the clipboard. And now I'm just saying, what's your story? And they're going to say, what do you mean? And you're like, what's your story? How long have you been looking for a house? Because when you're buying a house, the only thing you want to talk about is your house. You're so excited. You've talked about it with your friends, your family. If you bought a house, think about the excitement, enthusiasm you had. You've talked about this with your coworkers. Anybody that will listen, even tell like the Safeway checker out, or I'm buying a house. You're just so dang excited. They're ready for you as the real estate agent to solicit their business. They're not ready for you to say, tell me your story. Well, I've worked through bad credit and I've been going through this. I'm a single mom and I finally got to the point where it's like it's like people going on vacation. You know, you notice this all the time. I just went to REI to buy some shoes because my wife and I are traveling. And I was kind of excited to tell the person, like, we're going to go on vacation. You just, what's your story gets them talking about the house. And it takes you from being a salesperson to being an interested party. It puts you from being at odds with one another to sitting on the same side of the table. And then once they tell their story a little bit, so how long have you been considering a move? What brought you out to see this one today? Was it the directional signs or did you find us online? Out of curiosity, what's so important about you in the next home? Would it be helpful if I shared with you what other buyers in the neighborhood are noticing about this house? And this is like one of the most valuable subversive questions that you can ask them. Would it be helpful if I showed you what other people are noticing? Oh, yeah. Yeah. I have heard the feedback that for how small the backyard is, the price is a little high. What's important to you when you're looking at a house? Are you also looking for a bigger backyard? If you can actually give them inside information, right? Like they don't know that you're the listing, you don't know your relationship, but if you're actually helping them see, you know that what I've heard other people share is that for the price, they actually expected a little bit more space in the master bathroom. And they'll reply with something like this: that's what I thought. You've just won them over. You are no longer antagonistic. You are actually sitting on the same side. So what would make this house a 10 for 10 for you? And you begin talking. And now I'll tell you, if you're actually watching this video on YouTube, I'll tell you the objection handles and the rest of it. But first, you got to comment below. Comment open house script, and I'll send you the remainder of the script. If you're actually in my blueprint coaching course, we're going to get to it in a moment. But this is the part where I tell you that most important, this is where we want to go. Now, write your questions down, because in class next week, we're going to go over them in detail, plus the objections that we have. And this is where you shoot your shot. So it sounds like you're just starting the home buying process. What I'd love to do, if you'd find it helpful, is invite you in for a quick buyer's consultation. We can meet in my office, or even simpler, over Zoom. It's just 30 to 45 minutes. And here's what we'll walk away with: how to negotiate the best deal in today's market, the real difference between sales price and list price, and then how appraisers and lenders are actually valuing homes. The good news is, though, whether you're ready to buy today or you're just still browsing, you're going to leave with insider information that most buyers never hear. Okay, now I'm going to be totally honest with you. I might waste your time, but I would never waste mine. At the end of the meeting, one or two things will either happen. You'll feel confident and it makes sense to stay in touch with me and maybe hire me when the time comes, or you'll thank me for the information and we'll part ways as friends. Either ways, you will win. So just imagine 45 minutes smarter, you'll be about buying a home. So do weeknights or weekends work best for you? That's it, guys. This is open houses that crush it and kill. Now, everything that I shared with you has been through massive amounts of experience. We've cut out and whittled out all the small word. Like, this is the meat and potatoes of what you want to share with people. If you set the right environment, you set the tone, you set the stage, you are going to get people to say yes to this. Even the way I was reading it to you, it was so conversational. It was so not off-putting. You might not be my cup of tea, but you can see how if you continue to deliver that same product, that same script, that same dialogue over and over again, inevitably you are going to find the people who are your cup of tea. Okay, bring your questions to class. We are going to answer this in more detail, but it will not benefit you. Take the time to memorize these portions of the scripts. We're going to get to the objections and what people would say and scenarios that kind of works best in, but this is where you're going to close at least half your business for this upcoming year.